Most doctors have no
Most
knowledge.
don't care about animals, and unfortunately don't care about their health.
We have this information. Well, let's use those words because it might cause Americans to take action.
Hey guys, Bananiac here, and we're here in beautiful Florida with the lovely Emily from Bite Size Vegan. We're going to do a great interview here. So Emily, you are a pretty big vegan and animal activist here on YouTube. I just want to know how you went vegan, what inspired you to go vegan, and how long have you been doing this lifestyle?
Well, I'm one of those people that doesn't really have a start date, you know, for my veganism necessarily. The earliest that I know is that my mother tells me that when I was 4 years old, I started to refuse to eat meat, and I don't actually remember that consciously, but she did say that if I could tell something had ever been alive, I would refuse to eat it. So that's kind of when all of that started. Of course, you know, I don't really remember that. And then as I grew up and I started to learn more about, you know, dairy and eggs and where those come from and what the animals are actually going through, then I started to eliminate those from my diet as well. But I'd always wanted to do things for the animals. I've always, you know, even as a kid, I formed this club with my friends in elementary school. We called it Claws Cause. And it was, I don't know what we thought we were doing, but it was supposed to be about you know, saving the animals of the world.
Nice.
So it's kind of always been with me. I just didn't really know what to do with it and how to be most effective with. I had that passion, and I would also get very, you know, really down and depressed as a kid about it because it seems so insurmountable, especially when you're young. All of the suffering in the world, especially when you start to really realize what animals are going through. It seems like, you know, how can I make a difference as this one person?
For sure.
So that's been an evolving journey for me, as trying to find my voice as an activist and find how can I be most effective, and also how can I stay hopeful with all of that going on.
Right, yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's amazing how much of a voice we can really have once we realize it. As you know, I come from a health sort of background, and I'm a dietetic student, but this is a good question. I get this all the time. Can people who change their diet, who come from a health perspective of wanting to just get healthier and wanting to adopt a plant-based lifestyle, can they call themselves vegan? Because you hear that all the time. So many celebrities out there will just say, oh, you know, I'm on a vegan diet, but next thing you know, you see them walking down the street with a fur coat or a leather bag or something like that. So what are your thoughts on situations like that?
Yeah, well, that seems to be kind of a hotbed issue, even within the vegan community, a lot. I think that there needs to be a distinction between, you know, veganism, being vegan and being on a vegan diet. And of course, you'll still also hear people say there is no such thing as a vegan diet because it reaches beyond diet.
Right.
I think if we really want to get into the hardcore semantics, I would say then yeah, a vegan diet on itself probably does not exist when you're talking about veganism ethics-wise. But as far as just the nomenclature and what we say today, you know, there is such a thing as a vegan diet within our vocabulary. So I don't know how good of a use of our time it will be to campaign against stopping people from using the word vegan diet.
Right.
I feel like our energies can be better spent advocating for the animals and stuff.
Absolutely.
As far as though can someone call themselves a vegan? You know, obviously people can call themselves whatever they want to call themselves. You know, I mean, a lot of people will call themselves a particular religion, even though they might not adhere to any of those religious beliefs. You know, you know, they can say, "Oh, I'm a Catholic, but I also, you know, have sex before marriage, and I do this and this." So people are going to do what they're going to do. However, I would say that in my view and everything, being vegan is very different than being on a vegan diet. Of course, a vegan diet is part of being vegan, but it's kind of just the bare minimum basis of what we can do for the animals. So I hope that makes sense.
No, that definitely makes sense. So it kind of brings me to my next question. So say someone is coming from a genuine standpoint where they do want to help the animals, they do want to help the environment, so they change to a plant-based lifestyle. Is that enough? You know, is that enough? Can people just change their diet and honestly help those animals in the factory farms, or, you know, stop the people from tearing down forests for grazing? You know, what other things can people do besides just changing their diets?
Yeah, that's a great question, and that's something that you know, really struggled with for a long time too, and I still try to think about more that I can do. From what I've seen and from what I've learned from, you know, other activists in the field, particularly, you know, my mentor Gary Yourofsky, who's done like years of activism, is that
awesome.
The most effective form is education, and that's really where like we're changing minds and we're changing lives for the animals. Because, you know, protests, it's okay to go to protests and everything. However, like especially these days, they kind of get ignored, and you have maybe like 10-second window to kind of yell something at someone, and they're probably just going to tone you out and keep going, you know, or tune you out and keep going. Unfortunately, I'm not saying that they don't have their place, but with education, we can really reach people kind of like on their level, and also bring them through these steps, these logical steps, and also emotional steps to embrace, you know, veganism for what it is. I think, you know, education is really at the core of being effective. And, you know, that doesn't mean that you have to become a Gary Yourofsky and go to every single school in the world and talk to people. It can be as simple as living your vegan life and, you know, just being an advocate for the animals, even in the smallest moments, your interactions with people. You don't have to become, you know, a douche and like go smack people who are eating meat in the face. Like, don't do that. That's not effective either. But just kind of being conscious of those little teaching moments that you have, like when you're interacting with, you know, family or friends or even strangers. There's always a time to kind of lay some groundwork in. I mean, because I'm so tattooed, I have people ask me, you know, like, why do you have a pig on your neck? Why do you have a cow on your neck? And those kind of things. And that's kind of an opportunity for me to talk about, like, you know, like I value, like we value life, you know, why would I not value the life of this animal? Because on the back of my neck it says pain is pain, blood is blood, suffering is suffering. So, you know, regardless of what our race is, our, you know, our creed, our species, we all feel pain and we all like experience those things. And so why should it be limited? And so there's always these little moments that you can have to teach. But I think, yeah, becoming an activist through education is one of the most effective ways. And there is something to be said too about the testament of just living vegan, and like people will be drawn to that, you know, if you really embrace it. So yeah, so it's amazing how much of it actually moving into the mainstream, slowly but surely getting there, you know. So yeah, that was good stuff. Yeah, thank you so much, Emily. Do you want to share with my viewers where people can find more about you? Yeah, absolutely. So I have a channel here called Bite Size Vegan. You can also find me at bitesizevegan.com is my website, which has, you know, a lot more resources and everything, and all of my videos are there as well. I'm developing actually an e-course right now, so soon I'll be able to provide that for people for going vegan, and there'll be a different one about staying vegan, there'll be one about activism. So so definitely, yeah, find me at bitesizevegan.com or my YouTube here, and then I'm on all of the social platforms as well at Bite Size Vegan. So that's where you can find me. Find the interview that I did with Tino on my channel, so you can kind of see both sides of this, because we interviewed each other. Yeah, that'll be in the link in the description down below. Awesome. Thanks, Emily. Sure thing.